Want to welcome to our remote studio former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, have a seat. Thank you very much for taking time to be with us. I want to jump right into it because our time is limited, but welcome.
I'm impressed you guys took over this room and created an entire studio right now.
Well, and impressed that you're here, Iowa Renewal Project, and you've written a book, Rediscovering God in America. And so you're here, obviously, and as you've reconnected with God, it's reawakened in you a desire to see God brought back to a central place in America's public life. Why is that important to you? What's at stake?
Well, in my case, I think in 2002, when the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that you could not say one nation under God as part of the Pledge of Allegiance, I felt that we were at a crossroads, that you were at a point where you either had to stand up and say, this is totally wrong, and then you had to explain why it was totally wrong, or you had to give in and allow the secularists to gradually erase all of our memory of who we are as a people. And so I wrote a book as a historian. I wrote a book called Rediscovering God in America, and then later Clifton and I did a movie about it with the same title. And the more I studied it, the more I read the Founding Fathers, the more I looked at the original documents, the clearer it was that we've gone through a whole cycle here of secular intellectuals and secular news media and secular judges trying to reshape America into a system that doesn't bear any resemblance to the America that was created. And so I think you really have to take a stand. In the absence of taking a stand, the people who want to redesign America into a secular model are going to win. And so you have no choice. You either have to decide, yes, I'd rather have them win than get involved. You have to say, stopping them and reasserting our Constitution and reasserting our Declaration of Independence and reasserting that our rights come from our Creator is worth my being directly involved. And the more I've been involved with it, the more deeply it seemed to me that we have a fundamental choice that we have to translate into real action and into real both political and governmental changes. And I think the country, the American people, are more than ready for that.
And you were very involved, very supportive of the campaign here in Iowa to unseat the judges who would impose same-sex marriage on the residents of the Hawkeye State. American Family Association, our organization, also very involved in that. How important was that as a rebuke to judicial activism and as a support for natural marriage?
Well, I think it's a very important signal to the judges of this country that they are right at the edge of a rebellion by the average American. People forget that the second biggest desire of the American Revolution was to reform judges. The biggest was no taxation without representation. But the number two demand of the American colonists was that the imperial British judges were imposing the government on them. And so there's a very deep American tradition of saying judges can't get outside of certain boundaries, and starting with the Earl Warren Court in 1958 or 59 asserting judicial supremacy, which is a nonsensical concept. It's a violation of the Constitution, a violation of the Federalist Papers. There is no judicial supremacy in the American system. There can't be. The system is a balance of power between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, and no one of them can be supreme by definition. And of the three, Hamilton and Madison wrote in the Federalist Papers, the judicial was the weakest of the three, not the strongest. And so you had this entire usurpation by the academic class, and judges are essentially an extension of the academic class, imposing on the rest of us values we would never tolerate without them imposing it. And